Oh, well, you thought I was dead? Well, guess who's back? Whoo! Season 2 premiere Mandalorian episode 1. Oh my god. Okay, guys, so I just got through watching it. I watched it actually 2 times. I didn't want to go off my first viewing, all flustered and just in awe of what happened. But boy's back. Boba Fett is back, confirmed. We already know Tamora Morrison was already cast in the show as Boba Fett, and it was confirmed by his management. It was like a leak online. Let's get into this. So we first start off on some random planet. They don't tell us where. It looks very ghetto, very beat up. You see graffiti on the wall. And this funny thing is, if you actually really look closely to the graffiti, you can see stormtrooper faces. I think 3PO and like a snowtrooper. We get to this fight club, if you will. Bouncer opens the door. So the bouncer was, I guess, the guy from Pirates of the Caribbean. Anyway, we're going, the Mandalorian's searching for some info about the Mandalorians, and right off the bat, this just sets the tone for like what the season's gonna be. Mando was quested by the armorer to find Jedi to give the child to, and first before that, he has to find some Mandalorians to help him find some. So his hunt takes him to the guy in the arena. And oddly enough, I didn't know this until I saw the titles at the end. So that one-eyed alien is John Leguizamo from Spawn and a few other movies. He blurts out and tells him that he needs to go to Tatooine, and then he strings him up and lets the little devil hounds or whatever they are get him, which leads right into him getting down to business looking for the Mandalorian who supposedly was on Tatooine. And when I first heard that the name Tatooine, 2 names came in mind. Boba Fett and Cobb Vanth. Now, Boba Fett, we already know, last we saw him was on Tatooine. Unfortunately, he fell into the Sarlacc pit. And one thing that I know for sure that Disney did do, because they've been very quiet with anything Boba Fett lately, is they did announce years back, probably around 2015, 2016, that Boba Fett did survive the Sarlacc pit. They didn't say anything after that. There was no Boba Fett material aside from him being in a few comic books, most notably the Darth Vader comic book. They've been very quiet about anything with Boba Fett post Return of the Jedi, which I think they were obviously saving for right now. So aside from that, we have Cobb Vanth. Now, Cobb Vanth is a character from the Aftermath books, described as a marshal, like a lawman on this small Tatooine town. In the book, he's stranded in the desert in the Dune Sea, and he comes across some Jawas, sees that they have some pitted up kind of semi burnt Mandalorian armor, and almost a full set. And also, who else's armor was left on Tatooine or would be on Tatooine. So it said that he finds the armor, buys it. He stops at Mos Eisley, the same spot where he was before, with the same mechanic. We already saw in season 1 how Mando felt about droids, and he let that be known every time there was a droid in every episode. He was always distrusting. But even when he first landed on Tatooine, and he didn't let the pit droids fix his ship, now he's just okay with it. It's what? IG-11 gave his life, if IG-11 can give his life to save Mando and put himself before it, his programming and everything, then I guess all droids aren't that bad. He's a little trusting now, which is cool. We see a little bit of character development, character growth. R5D4. Technically, he was already in season 1 when the Mando first goes to Tatooine. You just see him rolling up into the bar, and they do the slow pan up behind him to the bad motivator in the back of his head. So you see the slick right there, so for sure. No, that's the droid that blew a gasket right in front of the Lars farm. But anyway, he shows him to the new town, and then as soon as Mando goes to the town, he goes straight to the bar, starts getting down to business, asks questions. The bar, which is like a cool little another throwback, is like a weak way, points to the marshal, and then we see it, like, Cobb Vanth in almost full Boba Fett armor, aged, pitted, and it's like, that's not Boba Fett, that's not Tamar Morrison, that's a guy pretending to be him. He has like the helmet, the vest, the chest armor, the jetpack, the gauntlets, like knee plate. Mando like thinks like, wow, like, all right, like another Mandalorian. Like I've been here before, haven't seen another Mandalorian until he takes off his helmet. It's like the new Mandalorian way is you don't take off your helmet. You never take off your helmet. So automatically off the bat, like he's, he knows this isn't a real Mandalorian. So he's like, by Mandalorian decree, it's like, you're not a real Mandalorian. Like Mandalorian is a creed, and obviously you're not about that. So it's like, no, your armor is mine. I'm taking your armor, or I'm gonna give it to like, the person who rightly deserves it. And like, when you know it, sandworms, sandworms, hate them. I remember seeing this part when I first saw this part. I was taken aback. I didn't know what to think that was. Never seen a creature like that on Tatooine. Super Tremors vibe. I don't know if you guys ever seen like, the 90s movie like Tremors, where the sandworms crawling under and eating people. But it's a Kreit Dragon. So we have our first Kreit Dragon in canon. And it's totally different from what I thought it would be. Kreit Dragons in like, the EU, in the books, like, they're depicted as an actual kind of like dragon, or at least a big lizard. It's obviously like based off of a skeleton like at the beginning of A New Hope when C-3PO and R2 in the desert. Obviously, because it's buried in sand, you don't see like, the full Kreit Dragon, like what it looks like. And so you can't tell if it's like more dragon-esque or worm-esque. And in this one, they went for the whole worm thing. A cool little callback I didn't catch until I saw it again was when you first hear the Kreit Dragon, so you hear the same sound that Obi-Wan Kenobi did in A New Hope to scare, like, the sand people away. This episode has so many cool callbacks, deep cuts, and Easter eggs. The Mando and Cobb Vanth, like, make a deal. Like, he's like, you know what, if you help me kill, like, this Kreit Dragon, because obviously it's, like, eating things in the town. Like, it eats a whole freaking bantha. He's like, if you help me kill it, like, I'll give you the armor and everything. So they set out into the Dune Sea. They set out into the desert. And another crazy, this is so out of the, like, so random. So we see Mando on his like speeder bike, and then Cobb Vanth comes through half speeder bike, half pod racer. It's either Anakin Skywalker's pod racer, probably like, the exact kind of model pod racer he has. But it's like one engine, and then like, the rest of the bike or whatever is connected to the side. And it has the same sound and everything. And I first saw that, like, my mouth dropped. It's just like, they're like just throwing deep cuts over here. But Cobb Vanth, man, like, what a character. Like, he's basically like, I'm taking all the coolest stuff from all the coolest, like, characters in the galaxy. I got Boba's armor, I got Anakin Skywalker's pod racer. They go and search the Dune Sea, then they come upon some sand people. And for some reason, they haven't explained it, that Mando, like, obviously has a good relation with the sand people. He knows how to talk to them. He knows their language, their vocal language, which is really weird, and then their weird, like, sign language, thing that they're doing. They tell him that, they want to kill the Kreit Dragon too. So they lead him to this big cave. And then there's a line, like, that, like, they say that kind of, like, had me thinking. It's an abandoned Sarlacc pit. Cobb Vanth says, like, I've lived on Tatooine my whole life. I've never seen this abandoned Sarlacc pit. The Mando talks about how, like, it probably wasn't abandoned. The Sarlacc was eaten. And I'm just like, after seeing comic books, like, what a Sarlacc really looks like and how big it is, like, you have to be a really extremely big, like, creature to eat a Sarlacc. They formulate this plan that, they need, since the Kreit Dragon is so big, they need the sand people and the townspeople to help. They formulate this plan, like, they're gonna blow it up, because I guess its soft part is the stomach. Formulate this plan, they have, like, bow and arrows and everything, like, giant bow and arrows. Like, all these scenes with the sand people the Tuscans and the regular townsfolk, I thought was a little weird because you never see sand people like, you never see normal people and sand people like, in the same scene get along. You're always in conflict. So this was an interesting contrast. Normally you see sand people like, either shooting at people during their pod races, attacking people, something. Like nobody has a good relationship other than Mando. They help them kill the Kreit Dragon and leave the Tuscans like, the corpse to like, to salvage. They'll leave the town people alone. They'll leave the town people alone as long as they don't start anything first, which is cool, which is nice. The funny thing is, like, I noticed during this whole episode, you don't see Cobb Vanth put the Boba helmet on at all, aside from the beginning and then the very end. Like, it's kind of implied that, he's not a real Mando, so he's not going to wear this helmet, but he wears the rest of the armor. You get the townspeople, set the trap. The trap obviously goes wrong. And then you see some cool moments with, like, Mando and Cobb Vanth. This moment I thought was when they just both took off in tandem with both jetpacks to go up and, like, shoot at the creature, shoot at the Kreit Dragon. And a new thing also, like, now the Kreit Dragon spits acid. So it went from Tremors to, like, Starship Troopers, which was trippy. Was not expecting that. Mando does, like, with his ingenuity, like, he figures out about, like, tricking it to eating like a bantha that has explosives and blows it up from the inside. Then we end the episode with Cobb Vanth being like, being a man of his word, giving him his armor. He gives him the armor and then he points to the jetpack and he's like, hey, you tell your people that I didn't mess it up. That wasn't me. He's referring to this big gash in the back of the jetpack because if you remember in Return of the Jedi when Han Solo like hits the jetpack with like, while Boba Fett's like on the skiff, then it's like patched up, so at the end we have Baby Yoda and Mando riding off into the sunset with the armor. Obviously they kind of failed, like, in finding the Mandalorian, who they were supposed to be looking for, but they gained some Mandalorian armor. The most epic part of this whole episode. So we see the two twin suns setting, and then we see a figure, like a bald-headed figure with robes on and gaffy sticks and Tuscan blasters on his back. And then you already know who it is. As soon as, like, you see him from behind, we turn and see Temuera Morrison looking grizzled as I don't know what, as Boba Fett, just watching the Mando drive off into the sunset, and I lost it. Like, my mouth was dropped. I was not expecting that. I mean, I kind of was, obviously, because, like, this Boba-centric episode, but, I'm wondering where they're gonna go from there. Maybe the Kreit Dragon, ate the Sarlacc, and that's maybe how Boba got out. That could be a way of how he got out, who knows. But at the same time, he has a jetpack. He could have just easily flown out. And then how do we explain, like, the Jawas coming up on his armor in the desert? I'm assuming there's going to be a lot more to this. This can't be just one, story. I feel like this is going to be, like, kind of like an overarching thing with Boba. Who knows? Maybe he's just hiding out on Tatooine. He couldn't get his armor back, couldn't find it. I'm so excited to see where they go. Where else will they go with this? There was so much love to Return of the Jedi in this whole episode. I am pumped. I can't wait for next Friday. Actually, no, I shouldn't even say that. I can't wait for Monday, for Mando Monday, to see what they drop for us, because there was obviously a lot of stuff in this new episode that they're going to be, like, dropping. Next Friday is going to be crazy. Do hope they kind of continue this small, like, story arc where they went with, like, the Mando and the child in Tatooine, and maybe follow up some more of Boba Fett. I wouldn't be mad if they went and did something else, but this was a big drop. Another good thing I loved about this was the fact that a lot of episodes in season 1 seem very, very short. Very, very short and episodic. This was nice and long. Like, I watched it twice and I didn't realize, oh wow, whole hour. Like, it was crazy. I know this most of the rest of the show won't run like with the same runtime, but I'm hoping like we get something to that effect. Just so much, and I'm pretty sure I left out a lot, but going back after a few viewings, I know I'm gonna catch a lot of other different things. We've seen, all right, think about this. We've seen more action with Boba Fett's armor in this show and this episode than we've seen from him in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Think about that. Think about that. Oh, another thing. So this kind of reminded me of like episode 1 and 2 from season 1 with the Mando, doing like a side job to like kill like some kind of beast, to please some people. In the first, it was like the Mudhorn, and then he had to get the egg, like with the Jawas, like it's like Asuga. Like you think in this they did the same thing. The Mandalorian, he kills like the Kreit Dragon, and then as they're sifting through all the parts, they come up on a Kreit Dragon pearl. A freaking Kreit Dragon pearl. Like, that is such a deep cut right there from like Knights of the Old Republic. Thank you, Dave Filoni. Thank you, Jon Favreau. You guys did very well with this episode. It was very fan servicey, but in the best ways. Like, I don't feel it was not cringe fan service. It was the best kind. And I hope we get some more fan service moments just like this. This has been my spoiler review. I'll probably do some more later after I've watched this episode like I don't know how many times and found like other little things that I missed here and there. But post your thoughts and comments down below. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Let me know what you guys thought about Cobb Vamp. Let me know what you guys thought about Cobb Vamp wearing Boba Fett's armor in this. Let me know what you thought about Boba Fett. Tamara Morrison is back. And thank you guys for watching this. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and then I'll catch you guys in the next one. May the Force be with you. Hold on. This is the way.